Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Entitled Parents. Story 1. My mom doesn't understand that talking during a movie is rude. Don't get me wrong, I love my mom, but she never did this until she met this new friend Jane, fake name. They meet last year and started hanging out. When my mom took all three of us to the theater because a specific movie, I will not name, had just came out, we were all excited. Jane couldn't stop loud whisper/comment/read subtitles outside and sometimes did this weird laugh, something similar to Flash the Sloth from Zootopia, kinda loud, and what made it worse was that my mom joining in with her. They chatted throughout the movie like they were talking about miscellaneous things like, hey, did you want more popcorn? Or how was your dog's surgery, and did you get rid of the tree from your yard? Those are some examples. I didn't enjoy the film and probably all the other moviegoers that night. I know it was a free movie for me as my mom wanted all of us to hang out, but I really wanted to enjoy it. But my goodness, Jane didn't have much respect for everyone. I thanked my mom for taking me out with her, but I told her it was rude to me and for everyone else who paid to see that movie. She told me to get over myself. And last night we went out for dinner, just mom/daughter outing. And while out, she told me that last week she and Jane went to see a new film that came out. They chatted throughout that movie as well, and someone in front of them if they always talked during movies and kept giving them the look to be quiet. From the way mom said this, I had a feeling they kept talking and ruined that person's movie experience. I truly don't know if my mom was trying to have me take her and Jane's side or not. But I told her that stranger was right and it was extremely rude, as depending on what type of seating that other moviegoers paid for, it was probably expensive for them. She didn't say anything after that. Story 2. Entitled Aunt to Dad. Why hasn't she answered my questions, Dad? Maybe because you haven't asked her. Title pretty much says it all. My entitled aunt, EA for short, asked my father, not me, why I haven't called to answer her questions yet. Questions? What questions? I'm not a mind reader. Call me. Text me. Ask me in person. Don't ponder aloud to my father as to why I haven't called to answer your questions that I've never heard of before. And don't get upset with me that I haven't had time to call you and talk for 2 hours before you ask your questions. For context, I'm getting married this month. We're in the home stretch. I have tons of last-minute things to do. Work is insane. As is life in general. I don't have time for a long phone call. Or the energy to deal with you passive-aggressively asking my dad things that you can easily ask me directly. This isn't the first time this has happened, and it won't be the last. She hasn't said it, but I know she wanted to be included in more wedding conversations. Be treated like a mom. Be included in every conversation. But she's not my mom. And she doesn't deserve to assume that position in my wedding. Not after everything she's done. I tried to include her in conversations, but she would cancel, via my dad. She didn't even tell me that she couldn't see the venue, or what her hotel accommodations were. I'm not sure if this is right for this group, but after my dad told me this, I had to tell someone. These next few weeks are gonna be rough. Story 3. I'll sue you for almost killing my son, Pest Control Stories Part 2. Hello. A lot of you enjoyed my previous pest control story, entitled Mother Tries to Steal My Job Van. As I explained in that story, I come across and meet lot of different people in my job, some nice, some rude, and some, as you'll see in this story, really dumb people. Anyways, thanks for reading, and sorry for any typos. If it wasn't obvious by now, I work with pest control, one of the best jobs I've ever have. One early day last summer I had to go to a town 1 hour away to kill a wasp nest. As per protocol, I call the customer, Karen, 30 minutes before arrival to ensure that they're home and have time to put on some clothes or whatnot. My call goes after a while to voicemail, where I inform her that I will be there in 30 minutes. I keep driving, and as per protocol I try to phone her again when I'm 15, 10, and 5 minutes away. For my company to legitimize a no-show on the customer's part, we also have to go and knock on the door, even though 9/10 times no one is home if they don't answer their phones. But when I got there and knocked, I was greeted by Karen. Now, in my past story about a Karen I explained that she had that obvious Karen look and even the same hairstyle, but this time I was greeted by a really large woman who resembled more of Honey Boo Boo's mom. "Who are you, and what do you want?" she almost shouted even though we stood barely 2 meters apart. "I'm from pest control, I have a report about a wasp problem on your back porch," I say, trying not to gag from the odor seeping out from Karen's house. "Why didn't you call beforehand?" "That's awfully rude," she exclaims, showing her green/brown teeth. "I did, see here," I say and show her the phone. "Impossible, I didn't hear my phone ring." "Oh well, since you're here now, go on with it." I nod as she closes the door, quite thankful not having to go through the house. I gear up with my suit, spray, and puffer full of ficam, a poisonous type of flower that also dries out your body, and head for the backside of the house is even more dirtier than the front side with huge piles of broken and old toys spread around the yard, but after a bit of professional-looking parkour and maneuvering, I get to the porch. Right on a pillar is a huge nest. I just spray it down and then insert the tip of my puffer and spray in some ficam, textbook. I maneuver myself back to the front of the house and ring the bell again. This time I don't have time to take a step back. Karen was probably watching me through every single window, which pooched backwards when she violently threw up the door. "I'm all done now, here's a receipt for all the chemicals I used in case any of your children or yourself should get sick. Also please note that it'll take 1 to 2 days before they are all dead, since it's a slow-acting poison," I inform. She exclaims as she takes the receipt and shuts the door. Weird, I thought, but I was used to meeting antisocial people so I just shrugged and went on my way. This was 9:45. 19:30, almost 10 hours after I was at her place and 3 hours after I got off work my work phone rings. Since I don't usually save my customers' numbers I thought that it maybe was someone ringing because of something I tried to sell them earlier, so to not let my commission slip away, I answer the phone. "Hello and welcome to X Pest Control, my name is OP, how can I help you? You are incompetent and I'll sue you for almost killing my son." A loud voice said, but I did manage to match it to Karen's voice. "What has happened? Is he all right?" I asked, knowing that if he ingested the poison he would get really sick and could die if he didn't get to an emergency room. "You said that the wasps were gone." "They weren't," she snarked. "WWW what?" I say, confused and a bit pissed. "I told you that the poison takes 1 to 2 days before everything is dead." "No you didn't. So I sent my 9-year-old son to remove the nest. He got stung 14 times because of you," she shouted, almost deafening me. "Look ma'am, I informed you to leave it alone for 2 days, and even if I forgot, it says the exact same thing on the receipt that I handed you." "No it doesn't." "Yes it does, go have a look." "I'm holding it now, and I don't." It goes quiet, then just a beep to indicate that the phone call has disconnected. We didn't hear any more from her, and I never got a summons for court either. Shame. Story 4. Whose responsibility is it to raise your child? This is a question I feel like asking every time I hear entitled parents whining about lack of support. Especially from their own parents, who wants a child-free life. It's a given your parents should support you in this. It doesn't seem to matter they have a life too, the life where they spent most of the period raising you and restricting their own freedom for that. They stayed home to raise you. Now they have time and money to indulge in what they want to indulge in, travel and hobbies. But that seems like an unacceptable answer. But it's your grandbaby. What else do you have other than looking after them? You are retired. Maybe they have plans for after retirement period. Maybe they just want to be lazy and sit around after retirement. They have been working their whole life for this. But no, if they refuse to babysit all the time, they don't love the baby. And it's equated with how they don't have to take care of parents if parents fall ill or is unable to take care of themselves somehow. How they don't have to bend over backwards. All the years parents did take care of kids are forgotten since parents aren't taking the grandbaby full time. It's like they don't understand difference between help in emergency situations and 24/7 childcare. I feel like asking, aren't you the ones who decided to have a baby? Why did you have a baby if you are not ready to take care of the baby? It's your responsibility to raise your baby. Story 5. Stressed about approaching Father's Day after finally coming to terms with entitled dad. This year I've started to acknowledge the kind of person my dad is, entitled. With Father's Day looming, I'm stressed out on how to handle the holiday. Normally I'd just send him a card and give him a phone call and leave it at that. I've stopped giving him physical gifts for years now. But giving anything to a man who's so awful leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. I don't want any drama to happen, which is what will occur if I don't, but I feel like if do send him something that's enabling his bad behavior as a father. I don't want to call him a lost cause, but I do feel like he'll never learn his lesson and will always manage to shift the blame onto someone else. But I'd rather him play the victim of I have an ungrateful daughter to other people than give him a Father's Day gift with the validation that he perpetuates he's a good dad and deserves praise. Story 6. My parents are my landlords. Hi everyone. So this is about my own parents. So in 2021 our old landlords evicted us because they wanted to move into the house they didn't and rented it for double the price. Anyways, so since my parents had a second house and we exhausted out efforts to find a place within budget, they offered us to live in the first house. First 6 months was free to get us back on our feet and then we'd pay rent. Originally they wanted $700 plus power, but we negotiated to $1,000 including power because they didn't want to change it from their name anyways. Power was only $150 a month, so a deal for them. The other deal was anything we broke we replaced. Oh, and my husband's mother wasn't allowed on property due to some bad blood. Everything was fine till they suddenly raised rent to $1,000 plus power. Okay. Not terrible, but we can manage. Recently my parents stopped by for a surprise visit. And now my mother tarring into me for not wiping my kids' fingerprints off stuff, not dusting, and not sweeping. I'll be honest that the first two we don't do as much as we should. But the sweeping we do constantly, as both my kids are autistic with learning disabilities and don't understand when we try to tell them not to throw food on the floor. Everything else was perfect, dishes done, no clutter on the floor, etc. We replaced their 10-year-old coffee machine that suddenly broke, bought our fault but whatever. Their 33-year-old well pump broke. They did replace that themselves because they knew it was old. Then their lawn mower battery died, shocker, because it was also old. We're waiting till payday to afford to get a new one and they're upset about us never replacing anything. We have the option to buy the house whenever we can qualify for a mortgage, and we plan to. But they're being so idg. Am I actually the entitled parent? Because they're now saying I am. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.